Hammer of Proving, a Cabal ritual artifact. Forge challenger medallions from Cabal Gold to challenge Keitel's chosen warriors in battlegrounds. The hammer must be equipped to acquire Cabal Gold. Currently, our cryptoarchaeologists cannot pinpoint the date of Calus's rise to power within the Cabal Empire. Like much of the Cabal Empire's ancient history, many dates and facts were altered to cast a favorable light upon the former emperor and his rise to power. Most of the Cryptarchy's information comes from post-Calus records, scoured from archival remnants on Red Legion vessels and forays into the Leviathan. As such, this record's historic context must be marked with an asterisk for questionable accuracy. According to excerpts from the Cabal legal record known as the Codex of Lawful Transgressions, the Hammer of Proving dates back to the Foundation Age of Emperor Calus's reign. During this era, Cabal society was dominated by militaristic ambition centered around the conquest and imperial expansion. As Calus took control of the empire, he sought to steer the Cabal people toward a society of art and philosophy, though this degenerated into decadence and debauchery. In the early Foundation Age, the Right of Proving was the primary means by which disputes were settled among free Cabal, much like how the Crucible was formed among the Guardians of the Last City. During the Proving, two Cabal or their appointed representatives would air their grievances in a public forum, and one or both Cabal would declare a challenge. These Cabal would battle one another to submission or to the death, often the latter, and the winner would be seen as the right and lawful party in the dispute. Calus disapproved but knew that overturning a centuries-old tradition would be an unpopular decision. Instead, the emperor introduced incrementally draconian and Byzantine bylaws into the Proving. One of these stated that if a battle ended with a tie or double submission, an impartial imperial arbiter would decide the outcome. This arbiter would carry a symbol of imperial office, a gold-plated hammer etched with strange runes drawn from Calus's own personal occult obsessions. The Hammer of Proving. Whereas an impartial arbiter was a widely accepted change to the tradition, Calus abused it to push his own agenda. Over time, the Proving arbiter was granted more and more autonomy to settle battles, eventually gaining the right to enter a battle on their own under a number of flimsy justifications such as balancing unfair matches, ending matches that went overly long, or punishing a Proving participant who owed a financial debt to the Empire. The Proving arbiter became such a disruptive force that within a century the right of Proving had fallen out of common usage, as the law and restrictions around the right made it an untenable solution. Ultimately, the role of Proving arbiter was retired and the hammer returned to Calus's vaults. During Keitel's rise to power, she sought to win over those who had been put off by her father's cynical interpretations of Cabal tradition. Her regime reinstated the right of Proving as a simple combat challenge without arbiters or other superfluous trappings. And her adherence to custom gained her the steadfast loyalty of many influential warriors and politicians. This small army of dedicated followers is credited with easing her transition to a place of authority, where her self-chosen honorific empress seems reasonable. It is unknown how the Red Legion came into possession of the Hammer of Proving, but the weapon carries a significant historic weight to the Cabal people, one that can be leveraged as both an olive branch and, perhaps most fittingly, a bludgeon, depending on the wielder. Extraordinary Rendition Submachine Gun. My warriors fight not for themselves or even me, but for each other. Empress Keitel. Report by VanNet Encrypted Router. My friend and first. I know Her Royal Tuskiness is not my assignment, but I couldn't help but catch the following exchange on my latest trip to you-know-where. If anything, it's for a good laugh. Don't let our favorite Praxic wear you down to a nub. If she gives you grief, you give her a swift kick from me. Transcript attached. Report Identities Advisor Tarun as AT. EC is Empress Keitel. TS is the Spider. File hid classified audio. The connection is made. Let the Imperial records show that on this day, the great Empress Keitel, ascendant of Callus, slayer of Amunarath, convened via radio message with the Spider of the Tangled Shore, formerly of the House of Enough Tarun. The scribes can add whatever flourishes they wish after the fact. Yes, let's not waste time. I know you have more important matters to attend to, matters that I would be happy to help with, in my own small way. I would no sooner seek aid from you than a war beast would from a bog tick. Do you know how many thieves I've had to excise from my ranks? They debased themselves, crawling about our proving grounds, refashioning battle trash into weapons, all because you tempted them with a flash of glimmer. Ah, me? Tempt them? It's all I can do to keep them from flooding the market. This is not my first time dealing with war profiteers, insect. Though if I squash you thoroughly enough, it may be my last. And here I thought I was doing you a charity, promoting cabal entrepreneurship. I was told the Empire was low on funds. Is that so? Your Majesty, I don't know what advice you've been getting from your Imperial hangers-on, but how dare you? Quiet. But things are different here in the Sol System. Smash and conquer like so many traditions of old Torah bottle won't get you far. Gaul found that out the hard way. The remnants of his Red Legion have learned to adapt. Let me know if you'd like to do the same. I'd even go against my own custom and consider a payment plan. How generous. But it seems I have no need. As you've revealed, I have untapped resources at my disposal. Whichever ones have survived your purge, yes. But weapons are not my most valuable wares. Not by a long shot. If you're anything like your father, you'll be far more interested in the information I have to offer. Send your coordinates. We can discuss face to face, but tread lightly. I've yet to decide whether you're worth my mercy. Oh, I'm honored to host Her Imperial Highness on my humble shore. It's no palatial estate, but we insects are just happy to have a place to call home. Extraordinary Rendition was a hot item when Season of the Chosen released, and it is a pretty solid SMG that I had to really think about when it came to figuring out which perks I wanted, because a lot of different great things come with this gun. However, running out of ammo and reloading was a problem, and this is the combination I came up with. Starting with a lot of handling and stability, I prefer fluted barrel over all the others, and of course tac mag. And subsistence is what I really tested, and I found that this was absolutely the best choice for this gun. And Frenzy is absolutely amazing for ad clearing, and it really kicks up the reload. And while I often try to go with range on a lot of my guns, stability is really useful on this one, especially since it is an aggressive frame that has high recoil. Imperial Needle Combat Bow. Honor among foes, glory to the vanquished. New Guardians tend to know two things: gun and shoot. You pick the rest up along the way, and every Guardian's experience tends to be different. Let's just say the onboarding process could use a little streamlining. But as for our enemies, 2 points are drilled into us from day one. The Cabal are big, horrible brutes, and the Fallen are untrustworthy scavengers. What they don't tell you right away is how that is such complete garbage. I've seen Cabal who might as well have had rocks in their heads instead of brains. The kind who will crash a tank, killing themselves rather than stop to reload munitions in a turret. But I've known just as many Cabal who will stalk you across the Martian dunes for 2 days straight. No sleep, never revealing themselves. That's how I was introduced to Brachus Drausk. As for the Fallen, the Elixni, everyone tells the story of the Battle of Twilight Gap, of the Elixni houses sending in dregs to eat babies and other charming bedtime stories. But nobody prepares you for an Elixni so scared out of her wits that she tries praying to you because she thinks the great machine will listen through you. An Elixni so inured in the old ways that she leaves an offering to you, like you're some sort of saint to a lesser god. That was how I met Cheery. A few months before the Red War, I was 2 days into a long patrol on Mars tracking a limping Skyburner tank back to a carrier rendezvous location. I got sloppy. Didn't realize that the Skyburners had a rear guard because I thought the Cabal were utter morons with the tactical acumen of a boulder. Because that's what I was taught. Not that there are proud people with a storied history. No. I got that driven 12 inches into my abdomen when Brachus Drausk, leader of the Skyburners' rear guard, ran me through with a ceremonial knife. Normally, that would just be a minor inconvenience, except that during the collapse, the darkness chewed up large reaches of Mars so bad that light can't burn there, in the same way that fire can't burn in space. So here I am in a darkness zone, bleeding out, my ghost panicking because he can't do anything to save me, and 5 angry Cabal ready to throw down. Now, I killed all 4 of Drausk's honor guard without needing to reload, but Drausk wasn't a pushover. We went a few rounds, me bleeding everywhere, him coming at me with a sword as long as I am tall. That's when I saw movement in my periphery like a heat mirage. I knew what it was, but didn't have time to react until the electrostatic sheath was already coming off. But then I realized that the Elixni Vandal coming out of Cloak wasn't coming for me. It was coming for Drausk. You see, what they don't teach you about Elixni is that they're fiercely loyal when it comes to family. And Drausk had kidnapped and killed some of the Elixni's kin. So here we were, 2 would-be enemies taking down a Cabal Brachus like a pair of wolves. At least until I passed out from blood loss. To my surprise, I woke up bandaged and alive. The Vandal had left a trail of scrap metal taken from Drausk's armor for me to follow like breadcrumbs once I was strong enough to move. My ghost explained the Elixni likely spared me for helping defeat a common enemy. But ghosts aren't omniscient. They're just little nerds who read a lot. Some stuff isn't written down. At the end of the trail outside the darkness zone, I found the Vandal waiting for me. She introduced herself as Cheery. I understood her, but barely. She spoke in circular idioms interspersed with Elixni words. She set down on the sand a trophy she'd crafted from Drausk's helmet. A bow with enough draw strength to penetrate a tank at 100 yards. Then she sang at me, some kind of mandible clicking prayer, and left. No gunfight, no bloodshed. New Guardians tend to know 2 things: gun and shoot. You pick the rest up along the way, and every Guardian's experience tends to be different. Mine sure was. Imperial Needle Combat Bow is a lightweight frame recurve bow. You can draw quickly and move faster while this weapon is equipped. And you're looking at what I consider to be the god roll for this particular bow based on what is available on it. And I got really lucky after farming this forever. This comes with polymer string, fiberglass arrow shaft, archer's tempo, and swashbuckler, with the fifth part of this god roll, the draw time masterwork. This thing does a lot of damage and it draws fast. And really part of the reason why it is effective is because of the fast draw time. Far future sniper rifle. Distance is just a matter of timing. Crow. Ixal, Multineer, far-reaching, murderer, scion, prophet. 1. The tower burns, fallen in the streets, screaming. The hive witch dissembles, crackling portal, treachery. Vex emerge. Zavala commands. 2. The abandoned tower. Desiccated carcasses. Wind. Dark spores. Traveler disappears. Pyramid overhead. A voice behind the darkness. 3. The battered tower. Sizzling arc. Scions burn. Frigate crashes. Zavala dies. The hive witch comforts. Sacrifice awakens. One horn attacks. Cabal retreat. 4. The tower in ruins. Legionaries patrol. Torn banners. Executions. A land tank rumbles. Fallen scavengers. Transmission. The fleet is destroyed. Wrath of the Hive. We are extinct. 5. The tower molders. The hive witch's worm. Ghosts at war. A voice behind the darkness. The traveler abandoned us. Taken Cabal. A new hive rejoices. 6. The tower is still. Funeral procession. Zavala dies. Zavala dies. Zavala dies. Candles. Quiet argument. How did they get in? The Witch Queen flees. They are coming. 7. The Besieged Tower. Trampled flowers. Portraits. Zavala is dead. Ataxia. Wailing. Our assassin. The traveler overhead. The Empress looks down. The light is ours. Primus Ixal. Ixal. Primus. Far-reaching. prophet, conqueror, hero. The far future sniper rifle is not a very respected sniper rifle. It is an adaptive frame, it has a well-rounded grip, and it is reliable and sturdy. This particular one has full bore and small bore. Honestly, I'd rather just go straight to fluted barrel with it. It isn't bad. It's a good sniper for noodling around out in the wild, and fluted would make this thing a lot more comfortable to use. This one has tac mag, which is my top pick. Lead from gold is, in my opinion, the best perk in that column, although quick draw may be desirable by some if they use it in PvP. And then frenzy is there, but again, if you're using this for noodling out in the world, you're not going to be in combat for 12 seconds to proc frenzy by the time you're ready to use this thing. Opening shot would be my pick. We do have a handling masterwork on this one. I haven't really gotten a roll on this that I consider to be amazing yet. I would go with either handling or range. I think handling, considering the fact that I want fluted barrel, handling may actually be a very good choice here. In fact, slapping on small bore and upgrading this to a fully masterwork weapon may solve some of the problems. See what this does. As we can see, full bore with a handling masterwork would give us 51 handling and 67 range. Going on to fluted barrel, we would go from 67 down to 62 range, and if it had a range masterwork, we would go up to 60 handling. And the roll I currently have is a handling masterwork with small bore. Honestly, I think that would be better than full bore. I know full bore doesn't really feel quite good, so small bore will give us a little added stability, and we bring all these numbers up pretty high. It's not the 67 range, and it's not the 60 handling, but it's better than nothing. Code Duello rocket launcher. An unfinished inscription runs along the barrel. Tlamus. She who... There is a story of two weaponsmiths, both skilled at their trade. One smith, Dudas, works with metals she pulled from the mountains herself. She tooled the rifling in her barrels with the steady hand of an artisan. Her dyes, cobalt and ichor, shone bright as beetle shell. The other, Garrett, came from the distant plains. He traded for his wares and sold them dear, and thus he amassed great wealth. He embellished his goods with a rich lacquer, the color of flame. When the Primus called for the strongest warriors to serve, the district knew the fighter Tlamus, who had broken all challengers with her keen aim and powerful frame, would represent them. Both Dudas and Garrett wished to outfit her with their finest pieces, as having a warrior of her status wear their colors would bring them great honor. So Dudas forged Tlamus a mighty war axe with an ice blue handle and wide golden blade. Tlamus accepted the gift gladly. Garrett procured for her a slug rifle with bright orange plating, and Tlamus wore it proudly across her back. Next, Dudas crafted a shotgun, metal burnished deep as night with bright vents along the sides, and Tlamus brought it into battle. In response, Garrett bought a helm with thick plating and stout antlers, the color of a sunset, and they were soon stained with the blood of Tlamus' foes. And Dudas saw no end to this. Her shoulders ached from working the forge, and her hands were blistered by burns upon burns. So Dudas issued to Garrett a challenge, and as he knew no one would raise the weapons of a coward, Garrett accepted. The next dawn found Dudas on the battlefield, waiting for her rival. On her shoulder was her finest weapon, a rocket launcher. Its barrel a twisting column of seashell blue with gold trim, built as a gift for Tlamus, but now wielded by its creator. From across the field, a figure strode forward to meet Dudas, but it was too wide to be Garrett. Too tall, too muscular. He had bought a champion to fight in his stead. An orange sash was draped carelessly across her chest and dragged in the dust with each confident step. Studded orange leathers bound her massive arms and thighs. Strands of coral beads hung from her tusks. She greeted Dudas with her fist to her chest. "I am Tlemuse," she said, "chosen of Garrett." Dudas could not find her voice, and then Tlemuse drew one of her beautiful, terrible weapons, and the rite was soon concluded. Code Duello was a hot item when this thing first came out, and it was, the season that rocket launchers got buffed. This is quite possibly the god roll, and we have Volatile Launch, which I believe is a gold tier perk. Impact Casing, I do have High Velocity Rounds as an alternate. Auto-loading Holster, and Lasting Impression. And what's really interesting about this particular rocket launcher is a lot of people want Impulse Amplifier because of reload. But after spending the last season using rocket launchers for soloing Lost Sectors, I'm really a fan of auto-loading holster. So it really depends on how you're using it, but this is an absolutely spectacular perk for a rocket launcher, especially when you're swapping weapons all the time. And with Lasting Impression, you have time to shoot the rocket and stick it in the champion, swap weapons, and stun it, and then the rocket explodes, so you've got maximum damage on them. And we have the Blast Radius Masterwork. This is a high impact frame. It's slow firing and high damage. This weapon is more accurate when stationary and aiming down sights. Threaded Needle Linear Fusion Rifle. Most of our advanced tech was first used against us by alien races. Time to return the favor. Lord Saladin. Ignovun, chosen of the Cabal, spent all day receiving honors. After Empress Keitel's announcement, every Legionnaire in the land tank had come to jealously salute him for his promotion. It was the appointment of a lifetime. Deep within the Halphus Electus, Ignovun oversaw his arena's preparation. There was the hanging of Keitel's banners, the anointing of his ammunition, and the intonement of the Litany of the Chosen by the Imperial Mythkeeper. He was fitted for new armor that gleamed in the light. He was briefed on the protocols of the rite and the expectations of his victory. But now, alone in the arena, doubt creeps into Ignovun's thoughts. Gaul believed that the strength of the small men was their light. He reasoned that the power of the Traveler, like any weapon, could be stripped from the enemy and used against them. Clearly, he was wrong. Ignovun believes differently. Their strength comes not from light, but from death. The Guardians are already walking corpses, and yet they fight on. They have all died 1,000 times, while Ignovun has yet to die even once. How can he defeat an opponent whom death cannot best? Suddenly, the treacherous ravings of Ixal the Far-Reaching did not seem so absurd. If the Cabal are to triumph over the small men, they will have to succeed where Gaul failed. They will have to bring mortality to the vanguard. Ignovun knows that these musings will not save him, but he does not fear. If the small men can face death, then so can he. The Threaded Needle Linear Fusion Rifle is an incredibly strong, legendary heavy weapon that a lot of people kind of started walking away from after Vorpal got nerfed. But after comparing it on many weapons, Vorpal is still one of the strongest perks that you can use against bosses. Let's take a look. So with this one, I went with full bore for max range. I didn't really see a barrel that people were preferring over another, so just straight up range on this is perfectly fine. Liquid coils for that increased impact. This is the gold tier perk that everyone's going for, and on this particular gun, I see no reason not to do it. You don't really need projection fuse with full bore unless you're going for really great ranges. And Clown Cartridge and Vorpal Weapon are the combination that everyone is going for on this gun. And finally, the charge time Masterworks. So this thing can just fire it off pretty quickly. It is a great weapon and definitely one that you're going to want to have prior to the end of this year. If you'd like to support this channel, liking and commenting on the videos tells YouTube to share these videos with others who may find them useful. If you'd like to provide monetary support to help keep this channel up and running, visit my locals and subscribe star communities.